What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Skytown, everything Chicago Sky related podcast. I know it is. What is it? I don't even know. This is crazy hours. This is a crazy time. It is 2:24 p.m. August 1st, ladies and gentlemen. For all my MLB fans out here, it is officially trade deadline season. I know there's been a couple moves that have been made in the last couple hours, the last couple 24 hours. So I think we're definitely going to unpack that. We're definitely going to have that great conversation about, what's going to happen within the next couple of days with Juan Soto and Wilson Contreras and so on and so forth. But tonight, we have a special episode recapping the last 3 games of the Chicago Sky, one of them being a pretty big game that is detrimental for what's going to happen with home court advantage. The Commissioner's Cup, the Chicago Sky losing to Becky Hammon, Kelsey Plum, and the Las Vegas Aces having their number yet again for the second time this season. I believe we're 2-1 against them this season. So I think 1-2. Pardon me, I got it flipped. But it's definitely something that's very concerning. I think when you look at this team right now, obviously during the Commissioner's Cup game, there's a lot that goes into that. Courtney Vandersloot being out and having these conversations right now where we're sitting here and we're understanding, okay, well, she was out with a concussion. Candace Parker missed the last 2 games, including this previous win. We're going to get into in a little bit. We have an interview with Courtney Vandersloot and Coach James Wade where he tears my ass up. I'm not even going to lie. He treated my life and I deserved it. But with that being said, we're gonna break that down all and more. Losing to the Las Vegas Aces 93-83 is huge. Again, you start off slow against the Las Vegas Aces, which is a very fast-paced team, and that's the problem. When you have Wilson, Young, Hamby, and Plum and Gray really able to do what they do on a night-to-night basis, we're really without a great bench. That's the problem for me. That is the problem for me to where I look at the Chicago Sky and I go, our bench is packed. Our bench has starters on it. Like, let's be real. Azrae Stevens is a starter. You look at what Dana Evans is capable of. You look at what Rebecca Gardner is capable of, potentially being an all-defensive first-team individual and a really great igniting player who just had a double-double the other night from an offensive perspective. I think you really need to look at it from those intangibles in that conversation and understand this team is solid and they're great. But at times they start slow. They really do like to get a feel for their opponent, and sometimes teams can take advantage of that. And the Aces are that team that can take advantage of that. When you look at Kelsey Plum, who had 24-6-2 in 35 minutes, Gray 19-5-4 in 32, Wilson 17-2-17 in 33, and Young 18-2-6 in 34, and then Hamby with 9-5-3 in 23. It's really concerning. There were only 6 other points totaled, and that is Rupert had 0 points across the board. Stokes had 2, 0, and 7 and 17. Pulaskins had zeros across the board in 2 minutes, and Williams had 4, 0, and 1 and 17. They didn't wow us. That's the biggest thing. They didn't wow us. And Candace Parker, we're going to have an interview with her in a little bit that kind of dives into that and has that conversation. My biggest thing right now, when you really look at that, Candace Parker had 24-14 and 34. Kalia Copper had 18-3 and 8 and 33. Emma Mieseman had 18-3 and 4 and 23. 3-2-2 from Allie Quigley in 23 minutes. Courtney Vandersloot had 8, 4 and 1 and 22, so they really did hold her down. Understandably so, though, because it was her first game back since her concussion. Azrae Stevens 7-0 and 6 and 23. Rebecca Gardner 9-2 and 5 and 24, and Julie Alamont had 0-6 and 0 and 18. My biggest concern and my biggest issue was really the rotations. I feel like what made this team so good last year, and we have an interview with Courtney Vandersloot kind of speaking on that, is they felt like they didn't have a complete roster last year. When injuries went down and they really did need to fight for that final playoff spot, one of those final playoff spots, that is, it's that conversation of if only we were healthy. And right now in this game, they were relatively healthy. Dana Evans wasn't available. Ruthie didn't play. But at the end of the day, the majority of your core was present and there, and you just didn't show up. And that's perfectly fine. You were outplayed. And here's an interview with Candace Parker just really quickly. I think she speaks to it a lot better than I do, and I feel like I could feed off of what she's trying to say here better than I can. It's just truly how I view it. So here's an interview with Candace Parker, Emma Mieseman, and Kalia Copper following the 93-83 loss against the Las Vegas Aces in the Commissioner's Cup.
When we face adversity, I'm worried about us getting into adversity. we've had some slow starts against this team, and had to claw our way out. So I think it's more so not facing adversity. I think we're built for that, but it's not getting ourselves into it. Early on, I feel like we were very passive, and credit to them. I mean, they came out and threw the first punch. But for us to get down 33-14 in the first quarter, 14, I don't know what it was, 14-0 or something, I don't know. But that's not the way we wanted to come out and play.
And I think that speaks volumes to everything. I think they understand who they are. They understand how they're supposed to play and what the expectation is. And one of the biggest issues with that, and Coach Wade reiterates it all the time, is just playing their game. Playing their game, not falling into traps. There's a game today against the Connecticut Sun, and they pulled it out of their ass in overtime. And there's no doubt that it was a great game all around, especially without Candace Parker. But to have over 20 turnovers in the game, that's a lot. And teams can really, really score and climb back. And we're going to get in that in a little bit about how Connecticut climbed back after a major Sky lead, over 15-point lead, and they climb back and force OT. That's something to me to where you look at this team and what they're about. They have everything. They have everything, but every now and then it's just a slow start. And normally it's unfortunately against teams like the Aces. It's unfortunately against teams with high tempoed players, high tempoed individuals, high drive, high motor skills, and great reads. And that's what this team is built on. Kelsey Plum, Wilson, and company have really just emerged themselves as just being amazing talents. And it's really unfortunate. I understand a lot of people want me to sit up here and talk about the Commissioner Cup for over 15 minutes, over 20 minutes. To me, it's just my personal opinion. There's not much to say. This isn't the end of the world. Even if we won that game, it wouldn't have been the end of the world, because I truly believe that the Chicago Sky, whether they are home with Sky Guy or they are away, it doesn't mean anything. I truly don't think it does. And I think it's the biggest thing is because of how veteran tested these guys are. I think when you look at them and you look at this group of women and how strong and mentally tough they are to be able to go on the road games and the home stretches that they're about to go on the next 4 games, that I believe are all at Wintrust Arena. It's going to be super exciting, and I'm super excited to continue to see them develop and see them move the way they move. I think one of the biggest things right now, when you really look at the Sky from top to bottom, is can they just be themselves? Can they catch fire very early on in a game? I think, like Candace said, you're trying to catch fire. You're trying to catch lightning in a bottle in this game and climb back. Instead of having to climb back, you need to throw that first punch. And I think Candace speaks volumes to that. And that kind of goes into the next game where they lose the following game. I don't believe Candace Parker played in that game either. We're going to get it right now. The New York Liberty against Stephanie Dolson, they defeated them 89-81, which it was a great win. Don't get it twisted, and they had just lost to them the other night. So it definitely is something where we need to be proud of that. Stephanie Dolson went 12, 3, and 4 and 24. Allen 6, 0, and 2 and 21. Howard had 15, 4, and 10 for a double-double and 30. Sabrina again popping off 16, 6, and 4 and 33. Dangerfield had 2, 1, and 3 and 20. Johannes had 13, 5, and 1 and 28. Hahn had 9, 0, and 6 and 15. Whitcomb had 5, 3, and 0 and 18. And to cap it all off, Michaela, who in my opinion, only playing 10 minutes, 3, 0, and 1 in 10 minutes is kind of very odd to me, especially in this matchup right now without Candace Parker, who, from what I'm understanding, it isn't a COVID-related illness. It is just a illness. It's maybe it's the stomach flu, maybe it's food poisoning, maybe she just doesn't feel good, maybe it's the flu. Who knows? But it's definitely. I think she's going to be okay. She's missed 2 games now. But she's probably just trying to really get herself back under herself and just get on the field or get on the court, pardon me, as fast as possible. But for the Chicago Sky in this game, Azrae Stevens had 12, 3, and 4 in 31 minutes. Ka had 16, 3, and 11 for a double-double in 28. Emma had 8, 4, and 2 in 33. Allie had 16, 0, and 2 in 28, which is huge to me, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Sloot had 23, 9, and 6 in 31. Ruthie had 2, 2, and 2 and 14. Rebecca had 12, 1, and 3 and 22. Julie had 0, 0, and 2 and 9. Dana Evans had 1 rebound in 2 minutes, and Lee had zeros across the board in 2 minutes. But with that being said, I think Allie is the focal point of it. And I say that for this very reason. I think the understanding, especially in the Aces game, and I've seen it time and time again. Tonight, Allie had the dagger. She called game. And shout out to Courtney Vandersloot, by the way, being third all time in WNBA history in assists. That, hitting her wife to get that game sealing win, not only the win, but just to break that record, the passes to your wife in Allie Quigley. That is amazing. I love that. The Vanderquigs are honestly the best couple in all of sports. I don't care what anybody says, and it's just amazing to see them do that. I'm sorry I totally just skipped over the Liberty game, but I definitely do think when you look at it from that perspective and you have the understanding of when Allie hits and Courtney's on and she's on her game, it frees up everybody else to be able to do what they do because they're really facilitating it from the backcourt. Candace is more free, even though she'll never truly be free because she's the best player, one of the best players in the league. So they're always going to be paying attention to her. Ka is more free as a scorer. Emma's more free as a scorer. You look at Julie, you look at Rebecca, you look at Dana, you look at Azure. All of them are a lot more freer when this backcourt is dominant. And I love seeing that from Allie, and I want to see that more from her, especially in big moments, which like we know she can. But tonight, the 95-92 win, the Sky are now 23-7. The what is it? Connecticut Sun. I almost said the Phoenix Suns. The Connecticut Sun are 20-10. So it's a great win all in all. You're looking at it from the Suns' perspective. Jones had 11, 1 and 5 and 25. Amazing shots by Jones in the later stretch. Thomas 22, 8 and 7 and 39. Bonner had 23, 3 and 9 and 37. Williams 16, 4 and 8 and 38. Hieldman had 5, 3 and 1 and 30. Carrington had 2, 1 and 1 and 15. Jones had 13, 3 and 9 and 25. Clouden had 0, 2 and 1 and 15. And from the Sky's perspective, again, Azure Stevens is starting because Courtney. I'm bugging. I'm sorry. It's so late. Candace Parker is out yet again with another illness, or the same illness. She has 12, 1 and 10 for a double-double in 39 minutes. We have an interview with Coach Wade, kind of having a conversation about that, and I'd like to kind of explain myself into where I was coming from, but he gave me and the media exactly what they needed to hear. And I'm happy he said it, but it wasn't really where I was going with the conversation, but it's a conversation for a little bit. Ka almost beat her career high at 28 points. She had 27, 2 and 5 and 38. Emma Mieseman had 10, 5 and 3 and 38. Allie Quigley, again, 13, 5 and 1 and 24. Courtney Vandersloot had a double-double, 16, 12 and 8, almost for the triple-double and 34, passing and number 4 overall, moving up to number 3 in assists in all time. Not just the Chicago Sky, but WNBA as a whole. Love to see that for her. The pass was, I believe, to Allie Quigley, so that's even better to call game. Ruthie, who stepped up big earlier on in the game, had 4, 2 and 0 and 13. Rebecca had 8, 1 and 2 and 24. Julie had 5, 1 and 2 and 11. And Dana Evans had 0, 0 and 1 and 4. My big thing right now, and before we get this video out there, I want to reiterate it. I understand who Azure Stevens is. I understand how big she is, and I understand what her potential is to this team moving forward. I think one of the biggest things right now is definitely what's going on, Andre. It's one of those things, though, when I really look at her, I see her as a starter. I see her as a starter, and I think Coach Wade and everybody else throughout that entire organization understands that she can be a starter in this league. My question when I was speaking with James Wade was misphrased, I guess you could say. I guess the way I phrased it did not sound correct. It sounded like I was taking somewhat of a shot at Azure. My big thing, first of all, if Azure or anybody throughout the Chicago Sky organization was offended by what I said, I did not mean, is it great that she's starting to perform like a starter? My big thing is she's playing 39 minutes, pardon me, a game. And the other night before that in New York, she's playing over 30 minutes. That's that conversation to me to where it's like it's more consistent and she's remaining consistent. My thing is she goes from playing 15 to 20 minutes as the number 6, the sixth woman, and you look at that as she's the leader of the second unit, to being just a great player and a great asset in the starting rotation with all these other great minds. And that's to me where I was kind of sitting here and I'm wondering, is how does that change your perspective on her to understand, like a switch, she can just go from being the leader of the second unit to just being a great scorer and a great facilitator with the first unit without kind of overstepping. And that's where I'm out of pocket. Is she's not overstepping. They all view themselves as the same. They all view themselves as who they are. And shout out James Wade for kind of calling me out on that, because the media does kind of try to bring that together. And I do apologize if Azare ever took offense to that, or anybody ever took offense to that, because I don't mean it in a sense of you can't be a starter or that you're not good enough to be. It's more of a sense of, for me, this entire season you've been coming off the bench, and then there's been little spurts, whether that be through injury or COVID or whatever it may be, of you coming into the starting rotation and not missing a beat. That's where I was kind of more hitting it to, but I respect where James Wade was coming from and just shutting down that narrative this is that interview with James Wade, and following that is an interview with Courtney Vandersloot, kind of just talking about overall what's been going on the last few games.
Last one will go to Mike Hughes. Mike?
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Azare so far this season and how her role has continued to fluctuate, whether that be through injuries or situations like Candace just not feeling well. For you, how do you view her as an overall player, being able to not only be a leader of the second unit, but be able to be a consistent scoring option with the starting unit?
Yeah, we don't really look into those things. That's you guys' narrative that you say her role has been the same, is to show up and be herself and to help us win games. And we play to her, whether she's starting or whether she comes off the bench. So our team we don't really function like how you guys see it. We all support each other. And the fact that she was able to get a double-double tonight, and like Azare's going to always play free, and her teammates want her to play free. And so that's how we view it. If Candace was here, we still want Azare to do the same things. And the fact that she was able to step in and start, I think it's something that this is what these type of teams do. So as we have a next player up mentality, and whether it be Courtney out and Julie starting or whatever, we really don't get into all that stuff.
Hey, Courtney, when you look at this team from top to bottom, you see Ruthie up huge today. You see Azare continuing to do her thing, whether it be with the unit or the second unit. How much does that make you have a confidence boost, knowing that individuals like Julie, even when you were out with your concussion, can step up and really help contribute to this team from all cylinders?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that we knew going into the season when we were building this roster, that, we struggled with injuries last year. And, those played big parts in our season when we're, dropping games because we don't have a full roster. So that was an emphasis going into it, is we need a really strong bench. In my opinion, we have one of the strongest. We have Ruthie, who, she's such a awkward role. You just never know what you're going to get at night in and night out. And she stayed ready. Candace isn't here today. And so she was able to step in and play huge minutes for us. I mean, that's hard to do at this level. And I don't think she's going to get enough respect for that, but we all appreciate what she can do and just staying ready. Julian Becker, obviously, just come off the bench, and it doesn't seem like we skip a beat. So it's good, and we're going to need it, especially games like this when we're in overtime. We had one the other night. This is a tough part of the season, and it helps anytime you don't have to play heavy minutes.
And then you look at, clinching the playoffs so early in July, very early on in July, looking at that kind of being like a blessing and a curse, in a sense of where it's like you're excited that you clinched, but remaining focused and remaining locked in. How hard is that to kind of just keep going day by day, knowing that you still want to get better, even though in a lack of better words, that there's really nothing to play for, like there was last season, to where it was a later entry into the playoffs?
Well, I think our mentality was different coming into this season. Making the playoffs was not the goal. So once that happened, it was, we're not emphasizing that. We're emphasizing winning a championship, winning back-to-back. So, we obviously know we have some work to do, and it's not going to be easy. So we're striving for that. We're not striving just to get in. Nothing changed once we clinched. We're still, trying to clean some things up and making sure we're peaking and staying healthy at the right time so that we can make a really deep playoff run.
Thanks, Luke.
Yep.
I think that's nail on the head. I'm sorry. But it's definitely one of those conversations where you have to have it with yourself and know, we need to continue to get better. We need to be ready for the playoffs. And it's hard. It really is, especially when you clinch so early. Being a Chicago fan, that doesn't typically happen too often. It's the city is always fighting for that spot, always being the underdog, and to be the favorites the entire season. It's definitely a different narrative than it was last season, and it's definitely a different conversation, which was even a bigger part of Mike on the mic covering this guy last year. We were covering them, but we had no idea like how they were going to just fly through the playoffs the way they did, sweeping Connecticut. Like that was insane. And I remember making the post when Candace first came to Chicago, and I said they are going to win a championship this year. And I believe that. But throughout the season, like Courtney said, you look at the injuries and you look at everything that was transpiring, and it's like, this is going to be a dogfight, and they prevailed, and they continued to fight. And now it's a weird setting to where you're not the underdog anymore. You are the favorite, and you are locked in. And now you just kind of have to remain a constant and keep riding the ship all the way into the playoffs without getting, a full head of these games don't matter. And that was really my question for her, is like, how do you remain sitting there knowing, okay, the next 5 games don't mean anything if we lose all 5. It doesn't mean anything if we win all 5. It doesn't matter if we go 50-50. It doesn't matter what happens. But it's that mentality of we're just trying to get better. We're just trying to grow every single game and get ready to win a championship. And that's my biggest thing right now. And to Coach Wade's point, again, like it wasn't for me, and I'll definitely try to speak with him when I do get a chance. And I honestly apologize for it, because the way I phrased that was it was a rookie move. It was one of those conversations where phrasing is everything. And I think, Azrae Stevens is one hell of a hooper. I've spoken with her many times, gotten amazing opportunities to speak with her and interview her on the court. And I think she is a hooper's hooper for real. And I would never sit here and question that. So my big thing when I really look at it longevity wise was understanding, I understand her role is to win games at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter how it gets done. But to be able to do what she's doing right now it's very hard. It's very hard. But on this team, it's so easy, and that's really what I kind of wanted to hear about, is how it's so easy compared to other people. How is it so easy that you can be so comfortable and be so free and allow yourself to be that way? It's because you have amazing people in the room. And I guess I answered my own question by just saying that. But, having someone like Coach Wade who believes in you and allows you to have those moments when you're allowed to have those moments, having people like Candace Parker, Kyle, and Allie and Court and everybody else, Emma, who believe in you and understand that you can be great. And that's that conversation I was really trying to get at was, Azrae's in an amazing situation to where she is accepted for who she is and really just being able to hoop. And that was truly where I was looking at it. But I do understand where it came across and how the way I worded it was not the question I was asking. And that's definitely something I want to get better at myself, not even going to lie. But with that being said, we only have a few more games left. We have a fat ass homestand about to come up. So if you have not seen the Chicago Sky play this year at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, definitely go check out the defending champs. They will be playing the Dallas Wings on August. Yes, we are in August. August 2nd, August 5th, and August 7th. August 2nd, 5th, and 7th, pardon me. And then on August 9th, they have a 4-game home stretch to end the regular season against the Dallas Wings, the Washington Mystics, the Connecticut Sun, the Seattle Storm. The last time you'll have a chance to see Sue Bird in Chicago hooping with one of the greatest to do it in the game right now, and Breanna Stewart. Then they'll face away in Las Vegas Kelsey Plum and Becky Hammond and Las Vegas Aces on Thursday, August 11th, and then Diana Taurasi and company and Skylar Diggins-Smith on August 14th to finish off the season. And that's what a way to end it, is against the team that you beat last year in the final. So I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited for this playoff push. We got 6 more games left. It's going to be a good one, man. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to continue pushing. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Definitely check out Skytown on all streaming platforms and on the All Sports All Plays Network. We will be back at it tomorrow for tomorrow's game. I hope everybody has a safe and happy start to your week. Happy Monday, everybody. and let's go, baby. We got playoffs on the rise. We're almost here.